Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend Matt.
All right, Chris, I came across something earlier, and it has revolutionized the debate
Yes.
of is blank a sandwich?
Okay. Interesting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Here is the litmus test, and I want your opinion on it.
Okay.
Pretend you are the Earl of Sandwich, and you have asked for someone to bring you something non-meat in between bread.
Okay.
For the ease of eating while you use your other hand to gamble. If you can use one hand to eat it, it is probably a sandwich.
Interesting. So then, you're saying a hot dog is a sandwich?
I would say in this definition, a hot dog would be a sandwich.
Okay.
Because you are more easily able to eat it in that with one hand. What would not be a sandwich would be what I'm sending you here, which is a bagel cut the wrong way with peanut butter and jelly on the inside. Like, imagine a bagel laying on the counter, and you cut a knife vertically straight down, rather than horizontally. That's what we're looking at.
Sure.
This would not be a sandwich, even though it is technically stuffed between two pieces of bread. You would not be able to easily eat this with one hand,
okay.
So therefore it is not a sandwich.
So that's actually what I wanted to clarify, because
yes,
the institution of things being stuffed between two pieces of something.
Yes.
Qualifying as a sandwich is still applied, but you are adding the qualifier now that it is something that can be eaten with one hand.
Correct.
So let me ask you then, though. If you had a lot of stacks of burger patties, because they got triple stack, quadruple stack, people are wild.
Right.
Are you sure you could handle that with one hand?
You might not be able to, so that may not qualify as a sandwich.
Okay.
Because you would not be able to eat it in the way the Earl of Sandwich intended.
This is now the Earl of Sandwich. Does this exist though? Is the thing
that's where the sandwich got its name from.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So see, this entire time I thought you were just coming up with a fictional character.
No,
that would be the chief of the sandwich.
The Earl of Sandwich is a real person.
Huh. Interesting.
Was a real person, or it was like a seat, right? In ancient English times.
I guess so. Yeah. I had no idea.
And one of them was they got the sandwich.
Huh.
They invented the sandwich.
Okay.
So to be eaten while he can more easily gamble.
So that does quite literally topple the sandwich empire in a way, because now all these people that make these gargantuan sandwiches with a ton of meats and stuff, that there is no way that one measly hand can handle it. That goes out the window.
There is also apparently a restaurant location called the Earl of Sandwich, and I'm trying to see where they have locations. Okay, they are an international company.
Okay.
Kind of all around the country, but nowhere super specific. Mainly California, and then a few patterns. Closest one to me looks like... Oh, fuck, there's really not one close to me. I guess South Dakota. It's not a widespread thing. You got one in Massachusetts.
Great. Yes, my
easy to get to.
My hope. Yes, it is very easy for me to get to Massachusetts from here. It is a measly 4-5, actually no, much more than that, probably 8-hour drive.
Much more than that,
8-hour drive at this point. Well, thank you for this education into the world of sandwiches.
You're welcome.
Especially on a weekend where many a sandwich will be consumed, as well as many other foods of the handheld variety. Because
quick, Chris.
Yes.
Do you know what Canadian province is immediately above you, north of you?
Is it Ontario?
It's not. It's Quebec.
Quebec. Oh.
I was looking at a map of the sandwich places, and I saw Canada. I wanted to see if you would know.
Okay. I know Ontario is maybe a little bit it's closer to Buffalo.
Ontario is like basically all around the Great Lakes.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, for some reason, I feel like Quebec is one of those the only city at this point where I don't really know its exact location, because if you could have told me it's in the West, I would have believed you. Whereas like Vancouver, that's right above Washington, or
Right.
Montreal is east, and Alberta
Yeah.
is kind of like above the Midwest area, but like a little bit over. Um,
Yes.
West.
In fact, I'm looking at another map. Montreal is like a straight drive north from Alberta, or from Albany. Sorry.
Oh, I was just like, wait.
Albany, New York.
Okay.
No.
There you go. Well, nice. So there you go, folks. On a truly American weekend, we learned some Canadian geography.
Sandwiches and
There
Canada.
you go. Well, welcome everyone. It's Super Bowl time, baby. Did you watch any of the Pro Bowl?
No.
Great. So let's move on. We have a lot of news to cover. Nothing as like major as last week, but just some smatterings of things that are going on in the league I thought were interesting. By the time you listen to this podcast, the NFL honors probably would have aired. We don't know the results. We're still going to predict the results in a segment I'm calling Award Predictions that you'll know we are wrong about. And then we didn't do it on the podcast last year, but this year we're bringing it back. It is the 2023 commercial draft.
Yes.
Where me and Matt are going to try to guess which commercials will air first during the Super Bowl. It's a lot of fun, so stay tuned for that. And of course, we cap it all off with our picks for the Super Bowl. It's our Super Bowl spectacular, baby. We're here. We're ready to go. So yeah, let's start with some news. First of all, it's a lot of defensive coordinator news, really. It's the really, we're waiting on the Cardinals and the Colts to announce their head coaches. I think because they're waiting this long, there might be a coach currently in the Super Bowl that they might be waiting on. Would be my guess. But
And the only one that really makes sense is Bieniemy.
that or Gannon.
But
Jonathan Gannon's gotten some pop as well. I think at least there I think there was another name out there, but I currently am blanking on that. So while we wait for those two head coaching positions to be filled, maybe even during this podcast, because it is early in the day, so things could happen. The 49ers, they have had a defensive coordinator vacancy since DeMeco Ryans left to be the head coach of the Texans. So in that spot, they hired Steve Wilkes, who just came off of his interim position as head coach of the Panthers. Everyone thought he would get that job, but instead he goes to a place where the last two defensive coordinators for the 49ers have gone on to become head coaches. So Steve Wilkes in a very interesting spot. So you said great hire for that.
Yes,
I agree. I think it's like, it makes sense that you have him show up for this role, and I think that like he has so much talent to work with, and he could really just prove that he deserves a second chance, because again he kind of got screwed by the Cardinals in his 1 year as head coach. So yeah, cool shit. Then another coach who very publicly got screwed over by his former team, and he even filed a lawsuit about it, but luckily that has not stopped his hiring or his ability to be hired, because the Vikings have hired defensive coordinator Brian Flores to fill that role. He last year was the linebacking coach for the Steelers after he was let go by the Dolphins, and of course, as we noted, he filed a discriminatory lawsuit against the Dolphins, and ultimately seemed to at first be like blackballed out of not getting another shot at head coach, but the Steelers then hired him to be on their defensive staff, and now the Vikings are getting Brian Flores to be their defensive coordinator. Do you like this hire, Matt?
What do you think, Chris?
I think it's the best thing they could do.
Absolutely, it's an insanely good hire. Your defense sucked this year. And this guy's a great head coach, was a great head coach, great defensive mind. He will get shit back up to par.
I mean, it doesn't the firing of Brian Flores, obviously in hindsight, makes sense in the sense of like, oh, the Dolphins were just wild and they make no sense, and after everything that we've learned about it, but he was such a great defense. He really made that Dolphins defense so great, and I think that even if you don't have the talent this year for the Vikings, this upcoming year, I should say, for the Vikings, you could still, with who is there, you could easily make a better defensive scheme than what was there originally, and then over time build that defense up to be something that's going to be able to be on par with how your offense is overall pretty solid. So good hire overall. Now, of course, Steve Wilks wasn't the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, right? He was just an assistant coach before he was the head coach, or was he the defensive coordinator for the Panthers? I forget.
So he may have been an assistant. He was defensive coordinator for the Panthers before he got hired with the Cardinals.
Right. Okay. But anyways, that role has now been filled for the Panthers. Iero Evero, I want to say his name is. This is the former defensive coordinator with the Broncos. He was kind of being considered for the head coaching position for the Broncos. He now goes over there to the Panthers. I think yet again, Matt, another good hire, and I think a good start for the Panthers, even though of course all eyes are on the quarterback.
Yep. Yeah, it's all about the quarterback for the Panthers. I'm scared that Derek Carr is in the future.
Well,
because that will pick nothing. That will solve nothing.
Well,
I know that he is tied to. If you want to get in quarterback news,
that is literally the next news story here. That you may think it might be the Panthers, and that's fine, but it seems like Derek Carr likes what he sees in New Orleans, so much so that Derek Carr was given permission by the Raiders to visit the Saints facility on Wednesday, and there's signs that this could be signs that he gets traded to New Orleans. There's even a likely scenario though that Derek Carr just gets cut and then he gets to choose between a bunch of teams, but the fact that he's specifically targeting the Saints right out of the gate seems pretty on the nose, and honestly, this could be a done deal for all we know. What do you feel about Derek Carr to the Saints?
So I think an upgrade over Jameis Taysom, but nothing that's like this is a potential start for the Saints to turn into the Colts in terms of, they're just going to be the dumping ground for every quarterback that leaves, right? That leaves their old team.
Could be.
It could work out, but it is like a little bit of a, now hold on, be careful, right? You don't want to go down this rabbit hole too quickly.
Right. Yeah. It is definitely. I don't hate it for the Saints. I think a lot of people are making it. When people see this, they're like, "Oh, like you're gonna just keep on taking on veteran quarterbacks. Why don't you try to draft a quarterback and stuff?" First of all, they're not in a great position, draft pick wise, to try to even move up in this draft. I mean, maybe they could, but they're not in a position necessarily to take a quarterback. But even
nor do they draft well.
Yeah,
period.
But let's say, for instance, like they do have the ability to take a rookie quarterback. I still don't hate the move because I think you could have a guy like Carr start the season, and then over time you just work in the rookie. I think that we're at the point now where you have teams like the Saints and Colts who for years were two of the teams that felt like they were either on the cusp of the playoffs or were making the playoffs and even going on runs on the playoffs. I think those days are over for both of those teams. I think they're both in rebuilding states at this point, and the Saints, I just think that, like, as talented as that defense is, they're one of the more fascinating offseason storylines because there's a lot of players on contract. Like this is gonna be a really big off season for them, and I don't think it's going to necessarily end, or at the very least it's an off season that's going to really revolve around preparing to have a shitty year. Because that's kind of the circumstances that they're at right now, which is gonna suck for Saints fans, but that's just the reality of the situation here. So hey, if Derek Carr wants to go to the Saints and have a bad team around him, that's fine. But I understand the hesitancy around Carr. But I feel like we've also seen times where Carr really does well. There's a chance you could get a good Carr season out of him, where at the very least you get 6-7 wins to make things a little bit more spicy. But at the same time, you could also just tank with him if you want. Like it's up to you. So I don't know. Interesting. We'll keep an eye out for that. I didn't write this in the lineup because I don't particularly want to talk about him, but I guess it is worth noting that Rodgers is
that he's going to a darkness retreat.
He's going into the darkness.
Okay, listen, Chris, I was thinking about making this my intro, but then I was like, no, I don't really want to talk about him. I do want to, like,
make fun of him,
bring something up, though, just because I think it's funny. So I played enough RPGs to, like, there are so many RPGs that have the themes of, light and dark for, like, good and evil. And I'm sorry, like, it can be very meaningful. And one of my favorite stories of all time literally changes the main character, the warrior of light, to the warrior of darkness, and I think it's fucking great. But the word darkness has lost all meaning almost. That saying I'm going on a darkness retreat is one of the, like, I'm a 13-year-old edgelord things that you could possibly say.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but yesterday was when we were recording this, yesterday was the Nintendo Direct. And one of my favorite people that I follow for a lot of stuff is Jeff Grubb. He posted the tweet early in the day. I was confused by it, but then I found out about this whole darkness retreat thing, where he posted, it was like a photo of him, like, standing in a corner in, like, the dark room, and he was just like, I'm trying to challenge Aaron Rodgers to get Metroid Prime to be real, or whatever it was, whatever the tweet was. I forget. I don't know if it was that exact phrasing, but it was just so funny to me. And hey, turns out Metroid Prime was real. But so basically the headline here, outside of just making fun of the guy for going on a darkness retreat, which is just, it is very anime in a very cringy sense. But the main thing is that he is still determining his future. He's still determining whether or not he's going to retire or continue playing. Let's hope he retires, I guess. That's kind of the hope here for.
The two paths are he retires or he's on the Raiders. That's what I'm predicting.
No, it's weird. Like, I feel like there was this period of there was a moment for like a week where everyone was like, okay, he's gonna go on the Jets. He's gonna be a Jets, because he had like nice comments to say about the Jets on the Pat McAfee show, and then. Now all of a sudden, because Devontae Adams is like, oh, I would recruit him to the Raiders. Now it's, oh, he's gonna be on the Raiders, which.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he bought a house in Los Angeles. That was like, the big thing.
Like, all right. Well, it's
or Las Vegas, rather. Los Angeles would be a drive.
it's actually I was surprised how close Las Vegas and Los Angeles actually are. They're like I think Las Vegas is like the southern Nevada, and like Los Angeles is like obviously like right next to I'm pretty sure like right next to the Pacific Ocean, but
yes. That's why it is very famously a coastal
Yes,
city.
I forgot for a moment. I just needed to remind myself. But that it is a drive, but it probably wouldn't be too bad for Mr. Rogers.
You know what's fucking hilarious
Yes.
though? There is a Penn and Teller video game where called Desert Bus.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Where they have to drive. Okay, it's from Arizona to Las Vegas. So it was Los Angeles to Las Vegas.
Okay.
But it's literally like a real time driving how long it would take from that one city to the other.
Okay. I do remember. I've actually seen people stream this before.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
The real-time maximum of 45 miles an hour, 8 hours of continuous play. And the thing about it is that the bus veers slightly to the right, so you actually have to like pay attention.
That's cool. I kind of actually, you know what? I might play that. That sounds like a delight.
But it's an 8-hour video game of nothing.
Fine, I'll put on a podcast. You know, listen. You understand? I played 60 hours of Power Wash Simulator. All right.
that at least like that has something active with a satisfying result at the end.
Sure. Hey, listen. As long as I reach my destination, I'm sure I'll be happy. Anyways, so whatever. Aaron Rodgers is gonna be Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully we'll never have to talk about him again at some point.
Please God. Even a Packers fan I know texted me today and said that he doesn't want him on the team anymore.
That is, you know, I give my love to that Packers fan for turning around on that. This is like much smaller headlines here, but I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Ron Rivera of the Washington Commanders, man, they could have added an extra E and made their mascot a deer, and that would have made it so much more interesting. It would sound like a virtual ball boys
I think that's
football
that's
league name, but...
wait, yeah, and that's so much of a stretch. Commandeers.
Yeah, but it would be better than the Commanders.
It would be. Anything is.
Anyways.
Well, no, anything but one thing is.
Oh yes, absolutely. He came out and was just the news was that Sam Howell is going to be their QB1 going forward, which I just thought was notable. I mean, I didn't think that was gonna for some reason. I was just like, oh, he's just kind of like a fill-in rookie. I didn't really think much of that. I mean, he did have a decent time this past year with the few appearances that he made. So I don't know. You know, I just thought that was, oh, okay, so they're really gonna focus on him being the future quarterback, so maybe they're not necessarily gonna be in the quarterback market this offseason, or if they are, it's gonna be for like a veteran, maybe. So I don't know, just thought that was interesting. And then DeMar Hamlin, he won the Alan Page Community Award in Phoenix this week. That like literally just happened today, I believe. And it's the NFLPA Alan Page Community Award that's given out every single year. So it's an honor that's like does not get the NFL honors treatment, but it's one of like the bigger awards that are given out. And honestly, well deserved.
Good for him. Good for him.
In all regards. Speaking of awards, as I said, by the time you're listening to this, the NFL honors have happened. For us, they have not happened. So, we're going to make predictions, and we could be right about a good chunk of them. In fact, thanks to the nominees being revealed, we probably will be right about most of them. But you will know that we are wrong about something when we make it, when we pick them. In this segment, I call award predictions that you'll know we are wrong about. So we've done this twice now. Once to the preseason, once to the midseason, and now it's our filing of our predictions here for this season. Matt, why don't you get us started with Offensive Player of the Year?
All right, my Offensive Player of the Year. I just because it's more fun this way, I like to make this the non-quarterback offensive player. Even if it might be an offensive player, I'm gonna give it to Justin Jefferson.
I agree. I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson as well. I do think though I thought about this because the nominees it's Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and I forget who it is.
Tyreek Hill.
So
Yeah.
like
which I think tells more about the MVP options rather than the oh boy options.
Right, for sure. What I do want to note is that I could see a scenario where Hurts wins this award, where and then Mahomes gets the MVP just because of like it always feels like an MVP runner-up award with Offensive Player of the Year in a weird way, even though it is like typically you do get like the non-quarterbacks for this category. So I could see that.
Oftentimes the MVP just gets both. Anyway.
That is also true. That also could happen. So, but I'm with you. I'm picking Justin Jefferson as mine. For Defensive Player of the Year, it felt like that Micah Parsons was going to be the favorite for most of this season, but then it's all of a sudden flipped in the last few months after the Cowboys started to falter a bit, and then the 49ers just were so dominant. And so I'm going to go Nick Bosa, and even though he's out trying to find missing Tway ballots.
I had this player preseason. I had them midseason, and I think that he's part of the reason why his team was still competing when they were. I'm gonna go with Micah Parsons. Still,
yeah, no. I to be honest, I hope it's Micah Parsons.
I hope it's Micah Parsons real bad.
But it just feels like the script was flipped last minute. What about your Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Offensive Rookie of the Year? I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson from the Jets.
Ah, okay. Cool. I also am going Garrett Wilson. I was thinking that I think it's going to be between Wilson and Walker because I as much as Purdy is probably the biggest surprise, I think he showed up so late in the season that I think that generally people will, although I guess maybe recency bias might put Purdy ahead.
Right, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
I don't know. I think that Wilson and Walker were kind of were more of a mainstay throughout the entirety of the season, and were so good that I kind of think that one of them will win. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe Purdy does squeak by. But I'm with you. I'm going Garrett Wilson as well. And with my Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think the Jets are going to win both awards here. I'm going to go Sauce Gardner, and this one I don't think is actually close. I think Aiden Hutchinson had a fine year. I think Tariq Woolen had a nice year, but Sauce Gardner was, I think, by far, like, already kind of proved he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
I did watch a video of a guy who was doing all, like, commenting on how the Offensive Rookie of the Year is so fucking weird this year, and then at the very end, Sauce Gardner comes in and is like, "Hey, I'm here for my Defensive Rookie of the Year award," and they were like, "Thank you for making this easy."
Yeah.
So I believe that I believe we will be sauced.
Yes, we will be covered in sauce by the end of the NFL honors, or you are already covered in sauce. But apparently he's doing, him and Aiden Hutchinson are doing Super Bowl commercials this year with like other veteran players apparently. So I'm curious to see what those are like.
Yeah.
Let's do comeback player of the year. What do you have for yours?
This one was so hard because I feel like all three of them are like Saquon is the one that you would expect for this award. Like in most years, like, okay, came back from major injury. McCaffrey's kind of also there, but changed teams. Mm-hmm. And then Geno Smith is like the really weird one.
It is.
Like, didn't come back from injury at all, but still like showed that he was a good football player. So I'm giving the award to Geno Smith.
Me too. I picked Geno Smith.
Yeah.
I think that what happened was Barkley was great this year. I loved watching him for the Giants, and then McCaffrey he's whenever he is healthy, he is so incredible. Like he's so unstoppable. But I don't think anyone like the Seahawks were a dead team walking entering the 2023 season. Yep. At least that's what we all thought they were. And then Geno Smith, he ended up just surprising the crap out of everyone and played really, really well. And then gave even after his first game, he gave that like the classic line of like they didn't write back or whatever it was. And that ended up just being like that kind of set the tone for his season the rest of the way of like he just is proving everyone wrong, and it was fun. It was a really fun, and I think he'll get it. My coach of the year should be no surprise. It's Brian Daboll. I think that I think that all these candidates are very valid. I think you could always coach of the year is always a weird award because you could say, oh, you give it to the best coach, but it's also a coach that it seems like it's mainly given to coaches that kind of overcome the odds. And in that sense, you could look at Peterson. You could even look at Sirianni in a way, and even like
Sirianni was my midseason.
Yeah, just because of the fact that like yes, the Eagles were talented, but everyone kind of was piling on Sirianni early on. But looking at the Giants coming into this year, I don't think anyone thought that they would be as good as they were this year, and to play in those games and to actually win them. Win against surprising opponents and actually win a playoff game in your first year. I mean, granted, that doesn't come into the voting factor because they vote at the end of the regular season, but still, like it's so impressive what they both
another dead team walking almost. Not quite as dead as the Seahawks were, but still not high expectations.
I kind of thought they were dead in the water coming into the season in a way. I had optimism only because I was like, oh, the future will be great because I think Brian Daboll's a good coach. I just didn't think it would cash in right now on that. Yeah, like pretty much immediately. Brian Daboll's my coach of the year. What about you?
I'm between Daboll and Sirianni.
Defer, make it interesting.
Yeah, I'll do Sirianni. I had him in mid-season, so
yeah. I think that would be a great choice. And again, I think all of these are great choices. I think it's the coach of the year is like there's so many good coaches. Like it's hard to pick them. And I think Sirianni brought this team to a Super Bowl. Like that's so impressive. But again, regular season, plays a factor. I say play as a factor. I meant like they vote at the end of the regular season. They don't know that the Eagles made the Super Bowl, but they made the number 1 seed, and that's what matters. Anyways, assistant coach of the year. Where are you at with this? Where did you go?
I just said it on. Let's go with Ben Johnson because the Lions were a good team.
Yeah, they were surprising. I was super. I really am bummed that the Lions didn't get a chance to play in the playoffs, but nonetheless, and the fact that Ben Johnson's coming back is super exciting as well. I'm gonna go D'Amico Ryans though. I really am super impressed by the way that he handled the defense this year. I mean, it is talented defense regardless, but like again, the way that you scheme up these things, that's all coaching. And he did such a good job with providing coverages that were really difficult to get through. I mean, he made Jalen Hurts look kind of rough last weekend, and they were getting blown out. So even like, the Eagles' offense didn't play great, and they still won that game. So that just shows how good the Eagles were. But part of the reason why the 49ers had any chance was because of what D'Amico Ryans was doing with his defense. So yeah, I think he earned it. By the way, now that I'm looking at it, Shane Steichen, the Eagles' offensive coordinator, whatever his name is, that's the other guy that people are looking at as potential head coaching material coming out from the Eagles. So that was I think that's the other name that I'm thinking of between him, Gadden, and Bieniemy that could be a Cardinals hire or a Colts hire. But there you go. So good stuff. Let us know if we were wrong, because I'm sure we will.
Don't worry, we will know.
We'll prolong.
We find out at the same time
Pretty
you
much.
do.
We are gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we're gonna draft about commercial break. Be right back. Hi everyone, it's Chris, and I'm back once again to tell you all about Anchor. Anchor by Spotify has actually been the tool of choice for Team Chaos Productions since the moment we decided to get into podcasting. And the biggest reason for this is it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your computer or even your phone. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, but also Apple Podcasts and many more. And best of all, Anchor is free. You do not need to worry about any features being locked out to you. You can get it all if you just download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Happy podcasting.
Sick of talking about video games with people who just want to be toxic? Me too. So join us over at the Gaming Coop. We come together each month to talk about what we love about video games. Discussion topics range from our favorite soundtracks to the best relationships between characters. We also have some fun segments in which we play some trivia or build our school of gaming. Find us on Anchor or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Game on!
Hey, we're back. Matt,
Yes.
it is time for us to look at... so here's the thing. Super Bowl's great. Enjoy it. Have enjoyed it more in recent years, being a football fan.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, there's other things that bring them joy on Super Bowl Sunday that is not football. There is the food that you have with family. There's the halftime show with Rihanna, or whoever the halftime show is in the previous years. But then there's also the commercials, and for many, the commercials bring a lot of joy, a lot of laughter because they're star-studded. They are wild and over the top, and in recent years, not really that funny. But hey,
They've been bad. They've been bad.
But hey, that's just our opinion. Hey, let's. So what we're gonna do is the last few years, myself and Matt have gone through the commercials because they do release ahead of time for reasons. And I did not watch any of these commercials. Maybe that's gonna be to my
Neither have I.
Yeah, this is gonna be to my detriment. But we're going to look at the brands, look at the star-studded aspects of it. We're gonna just break down the commercials, and we're going to do a draft of 5 commercials each, and the goal is to have all of your commercials air before the other team, essentially.
Yeah. So whichever us like our 5th commercial airs first.
Yes.
That person wins.
That is essentially it. So, Matt, you are the two times
Yes,
in a row
sir.
reigning champion on this. I wish I could say I've learned from my mistakes. I don't think I have. I feel like I would have to go back and remember the things I've drafted.
I remember year 1 I smoked you. I think it was closer year 2.
Yeah, so maybe I am improving. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. It's been a fucking week, so I have not been paying attention as much. But
I have not previewed these at all.
So I'm kind of looking through them myself. If you will allow me, since I am the underdog, I feel like I should draft first here. Are we doing snake draft, by the way? Do we do snake draft?
I don't think we have to.
Okay. Just curious. All right. So I'm going to go with the easy one, I think, because I always think these ones are easy, that they will air early, but then they don't. But I'm going to go with the one that's actually been they've been doing previews of it leading up to the game. I'm gonna draft for my first pick the Pepsi Zero Sugar commercial with Steve Martin and Ben Stiller.
That's a good one.
I feel like that's because that has been so teased that will air nice and early in the Super Bowl for us to see. So that will be that is my first pick.
All right. I'm going to go not a fancy pick, but I do think that because they own everything and because they have lobbied Congress to make themselves like still profitable because they suck ass, the IRS should just let you file your taxes because they know how much you owe. They don't need TurboTax to tell you how much you owe. I'm going to pick TurboTax.
Okay. Wow. All right, fair enough. No,
had to get that in there.
No, I like it. I respect it. All right, my next pick. I'm just trying to think of like who are the bigger sponsors that would get like initial like. So okay, so like one commercial I want to avoid is ones that I feel like are already airing on TV.
Yeah.
And I think maybe for strategy reasons I should keep that to myself.
Okay.
So I'll talk about that at the end. This is a bit difficult. I think I have my next pick, but I just really want to make sure. Okay, I'm gonna go. Wait, hold on.
Oh my god!
No, I'm sorry. I'm getting too cute. I think I'm gonna go Mr. Peanut.
Oh, boo!
Do you not think it's a good pick, or is that what I stole?
No, I think it's a good. No, listen, I have a vendetta against Mr. Peanut.
Oh, okay.
So
the only good thing that Mr. Peanut has ever spawned is the Nutfellows.
The Nutfellows is the only good thing to come out of that fucking monstrosity. I don't even fucking like peanuts.
Oh, I do like peanuts, but I can respect one's inability to like it. You know, I respect it. All right, what's your number two?
My number two.
Sorry, I promise I won't take that long next time.
That's okay. My number two. I'm gonna go with the T-Mobile ad with Zach and Donald.
Okay, cool.
Oh, that's John Travolta in the thumbnail. Jesus Christ, he's bald. So I didn't recognize him, and then I read that it was John Travolta. Now I can see it, but he looks like a Vin Diesel, Dave Bautista type that I just didn't recognize.
Right. I have to remember to write down the more specific details of these because I realize that some of these brands air commercials twice.
Yes.
So I will write T-Mobile John Travolta on that. Next one is another one that I think has been getting teased. Oh, actually, I don't know if it's teased or if it's already airing. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take the easy one right now. This is a later pick. The one that is absolutely... Okay, no, wait, never mind. I shouldn't draft this. Because I think that they need people to do something during the Super Bowl before they air it. So this is all vague stuff. I'm gonna take a risk here. I'm gonna say Crown Royal with Dave Grohl, only because has been they have been teasing that commercial as well. I believe, unless they've been actually just straight up airing it, but I believe that is a newer thing that they're teasing. Next up, your pick.
All right, this hasn't been drafted. I'm going to take the Bud Light with Miles Teller.
Okay.
The star of the greatest movie of all time, Whiplash.
Okay. Miles Teller. Okay. Let's see. I feel like I've drafted Hellmans before and they let me down.
Yes, they did. I remember that specifically. They let you down. Do not.
I'm gonna avoid that.
Go back to the toxic relationship.
Also, TurboTax's Dancer is the name of this commercial, so I'm gonna write that down as well. And Mr. Peanut is a roast. That's stupid.
Get it? Roasted peanuts? Get it?
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Because it has like that guy who does all the roasts on it. Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah. I'll do Jack Harlow for Doritos.
Okay. All right.
And you know what's so tough about this draft? Because your draft is only as strong as your latest commercial.
As your weakest link. Yep.
Like you could have you could go 4 strong in the beginning, and then it all falls apart.
Yeah. Okay. So Squarespace. I got Squarespace last year. That one was with Zendaya. This one's with Adam Driver.
Right.
And I feel like Squarespace will be pretty well used.
Cool.
So I'll take the Adam Driver Squarespace.
There you go. Okay. So some of the ones I'm avoiding, like Paramount Plus and Peacock, because it's airing on Fox. I feel like they were gonna bury those commercials. that's at least some of that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Let's do Workday is my final commercial.
Oh, okay.
That is the one that it looks like a bunch of rock stars: Ozzy Osbourne, Gary Clark Jr., Joan Jett, Billy Idol, and Paul Stanley. Which is a boomer-ass commercial, but I'm into it.
Skechers doesn't look like it's spelled correctly. I'm gonna pick the Snoop Dogg commercial. It feels like there should be a T. I feel like this is like, I'm not saying Mandela effect because that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But that word feels like it should have a T in it.
It should. We had a. Did we have? Oh, I think I used to either wear Skechers, or we used to have like a place in that we actually could shop that was Skechers.
Yeah.
And so I'm very used to it being spelt like that, but I can totally respect it being it's definitely a weird, uneasy feeling when you look at that the first time. All right, so the ones I was kind of talking about. So Pop, so you did not take anything that I was like worried about putting on my team. So you overall, I think both of us had pretty solid drafts. The Pop Quarters Breaking Bad reunion, they've already been airing those commercials. So okay, cool. There's a chance they might air those again, but and early. But I just didn't want to take the risk of that. The other one that I was kind of like, at first I was like, oh man, this is like a slam dunk to potentially air like at least by like the halfway point. But the FanDuel Kick of Destiny that they've been teasing,
ooh, that would have been a good one.
What I'm thinking though is that they're saying that people would have to donate. I think that people are betting on this during the Super Bowl. So I feel like they may not do it until much later.
Oh, that's fair.
In
yeah,
the game.
That makes sense.
So that's why I was kind of like, I at first I was like, oh, they'll probably just do it around halftime. So that makes sense. But I'm like, oh wait, but if they do want people to just keep betting, they might just hold that off until like close to the end of the game. So yeah, that was one of the ones I was just kind of like, I was really thinking about. All right, so to recap,
we'll win a share of $10 million in free bets. Boo!
Oh, yeah, that's bullshit. I didn't realize that's what it was. I thought that you just win 10 million in general. God,
no, that's how they get you. They're like, oh, you get all this number of bets for free, which like sure, like I get it, but
yeah. All right, so to recap, my team of commercials is the Pepsi Zero Sugar Steve Martin commercial, the Mr. Peanut Roast commercial, the Crown Royal Dave Grohl commercial, the Doritos Jack Harlow commercial, and the Workday I wrote Ozzy Osbourne commercial. Matt, you want to recap yours, or I have it right down?
Yeah, no, I got it. Mine feels so sterile. It's TurboTax, T-Mobile, and Squarespace, all non-beverage and food products, and then Bud Light, which I don't drink, and then Skechers, which I don't wear.
But it could work out.
It could work out.
It still could work out in your favor. Yeah. So the TurboTax is the dancer commercial, specifically T-Mobile, John Travolta with the cast of Scrubs, essentially. Bud Light, Miles Teller, Squarespace, Adam Driver, Skechers, Snoop Dogg.
Yep.
Cool. Excellent.
Remy, no.
I'm not even gonna watch these commercials. because I kind of like being surprised on the day of, like, because it actually.
Oh yeah.
It can actually.
I thought you meant for some reason. I thought you meant like during the game itself.
Oh no! I'm gonna be glued. That's the thing. My family has now gotten involved with this. Like people, like we were last year. We were hooked on watching the commercials and waiting to see which one of our commercials were gonna air first. Like this has now become this has become a big deal.
We should make it a bigger draft then. Honestly,
you know what? We should, maybe for the future too, because I was thinking like, well, there's only so many commercials to choose from, but I think at least we could get a couple more people to hop in on this. Yeah, hell yeah. I loved it. I've been loving this, doing this every single year.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's made the Super Bowl even more interesting for me. All right, it is time for us to make our final pick of the 2022 NFL season and season 4 of the Virtual Ball Boys. Oh, you know what? Because we read from left to right, so I'm gonna go Chiefs. We're gonna preview the Chiefs first here. All right.
All right.
The Chiefs are a power that just refuses to go away. We entered this season with the idea that we had a couple of AFC. We had a deep AFC. We had an AFC that we had at least a good handful of teams that could go to the Super Bowl. And at that time, that included the Broncos and Colts. So, take that for what you will. The Chiefs, though, refuse to go away. There is some people that were predicting the Chiefs to be last in their division because they thought the Raiders would be good, they thought the Broncos would be good, and the Chargers ended up being good, but not good enough. The Chiefs ended up going on getting off to a rough start. They did beat the Cardinals handily, and they won a tight game against the Chargers, but then they lost that game to the Colts, and everyone was like, what the fuck? But then they bounced back against the Buccaneers. They play a really close game against the Raiders, who were kind of floundering at the time, and then they lost to the Bills. And that made a little bit more sense, but it was still like, okay, maybe we're seeing a changing of the guard. But then, they beat the 49ers handily. They beat the Titans, Jags, Chargers, Rams, and then they faced the Bengals, and then lost that game again. So after playing the Bengals previously in the AFC Championship game, the Bengals lost it. Or the Bengals beat them, rather. And so, at that point, all of us were kind of thinking, like, all right, so then maybe this is going to be, like, the Bills could be your AFC representative. It could be the Bengals. Now, like, we're seeing that these two teams are beating the Chiefs. The Chiefs then go on a run. Some things happen with like, obviously the game getting canceled between the Bills and Bengals played, like, a tiny bit of a factor, but ultimately, at the end of the day, the Chiefs claimed the number 1 seed no matter what. They played the Jaguars. They beat the Jaguars, even though it felt tight at times. And they played a really hard-fought game against the Bengals, which I understand. There were some weird officiating things with that. But Patrick Mahomes, despite being injured the week before, and still playing on a rough ankle injury, still willed his team to victory even after 3 wide receivers went down. And now they're all going to be healthy coming into the Super Bowl game. That is the journey of the Chiefs. They are resilient. They look at the face of everyone saying that they can't do it again, and they do it again consistently. And Patrick Mahomes is just going... I think he will go down as one of the best quarterbacks ever, if not the best ever, when his career is done. But obviously that is so far down the road. And Andy Reid's certainly one of the best coaches ever. You have Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends ever. And you just have a team that looks like it could win their 3rd Super Bowl and their 2nd in the span of 3 years. But they have a tough test here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Matt, tell me about the Eagles.
I'll tell you about the Eagles, Chris. So the Philadelphia Eagles, last season stuck into the playoffs as the 7th seed. Excuse me. in a weird NFC. I'll put it that way. Then, during the offseason, during the draft, traded their number 1 pick for wide receiver A.J. Brown. And this move, plus a bunch of other moves, bolstering their defense, bolstering more of their offense, brought the Eagles and Jalen Hurts into the spotlight. They started the season on fire. They almost lost to the Lions, but then had a very solid start to their season all throughout. Their first loss came to the Commanders in week, I want to say 8 or so,
which you predicted, and
which I predicted, and Chris derided me for.
Yes, I did.
But now you know that if like an undefeated team with at least 8 wins is facing the Washington Commanders, the Commanders will win that game.
Yes, 100%.
Yep. Jalen Hurts ended up getting injured towards the end of the season. Really affected their winning capabilities towards the end of the stretch. But then they still get the number 1 overall seed. They blow out the Giants in the divisional round. They blow out the 49ers in the conference championship. Granted, an injured 49ers team still blew them out. And now they come in with a stellar defense with Jalen Hurts, who has played like an MVP, with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, an incredible receiving core, an incredible run game. They are the scrappy team that not a lot of people thought would make it here.
Nope.
I was one of those people who believed in them. And I am proud to have said that.
Yeah.
They will have a tough time because they do come from the NFC, and the NFC is full of scrubs. However, the Eagles have proven time and time again that when they're at 100%, they are the best team in football. And I think they will continue to be the best team in football because they're at 100%.
So there we go. Matt, I guess since we just talked each for a very long period of time, I guess since you just went, I'll pick first here for the Super Bowl.
Go for it.
I also forgot to mention that the Chiefs did trade away Tyreek Hill this past offseason, which was another big reason why I think people were kind of underestimating the Chiefs a bit entering the season. That said, I think I look at Patrick Mahomes and I feel he's inevitable. I feel like he just is. You can't count him out. He's always going to be a persistent thorn in the sides of any fan that roots against him, because he's going to break their spirit, because he will try to win these games, and he's going to play a tough game. And I say that, and I look at Andrew Breida, I look at at you know, the way that they are able to kind of game plan every single week, given the circumstances, given what they're up against, and figure out a way and will themselves to win. And I respect the hell out of Reed and Mahomes so much. But to me, they're like a more likable Belichick Brady situation, if I'm being honest.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you there.
I say all that though. I can't shake the feeling within me though that this game is a bit of a mismatch. I feel like as good as Chris Jones is, I don't think he alone can carry this defense. And I feel like the Eagles are such a talented team that kind of flew under the radar for a good amount of people anyway, coming into the season, that like I don't think that people were prepared for this team to make the jump that they did. And I think that it is a first-time head coach. It's a first time that Nick Sirianni is in the Super Bowl as a head coach. First time that Jalen Hurts is a quarterback. But I think quarterback in the Super Bowl. But I think what is going to help them is having a good amount of veterans that were on that 2017 team on this team to kind of prepare them for a moment like this. And I just feel like I've doubted the Eagles. I feel like I've doubted both teams at some point or another, but I feel like I've doubted the Eagles enough here. I'm picking the Eagles, and I think I think they could win handily here. But again, don't count out Patrick Mahomes.
You cannot count him out. You cannot count out him or Travis Kelce or any other of these massive players on the Chiefs who are super important. However, the Eagles, I think, are the more complete team. I've been saying it for a really long time. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles will win the Super Bowl on Sunday.
There you go. And with that locks up, Matt, that you're gonna win the postseason picks.
Woohoo!
For this year, even though I think I will overall still have the better record. That's at least
you will.
That is at least you have won that part of the battle.
Yes.
In this regard, it is also worth noting that Anthony has a 1-1 record on the season, and Kelsey has an 0-2 record on the season from their picks in the conference championship games. But anyways. That's that. So I'm hopeful that it's a close game just because of who is on the other team. It does feel like the Chiefs are a bit, even though they have been such a consistent player in these Super Bowls in recent years, it feels like they're entering this game a little bit like an underdog, considering how dominating the playoffs have been for the Eagles overall.
Now, riddle me this: the Eagles players did show up in their dog masks.
I know. Well, that's the thing. The Eagles have just had. At least last I checked, the Eagles did become the favorite.
I think you're right.
Last week
yes,
or
they
so.
are. Philadelphia minus 1.5.
Yeah, I mean it is close, and I think you and I love chaos in the league, and generally speaking, are a fan of seeing new blood in the Super Bowl, seeing new teams, and obviously seeing both the Chiefs and the Eagles here. Yes, obviously the casts are a little bit different, especially on the Eagles, but it is a bit disappointing that you have the two number one seeds of this season. They're like, all right, yep, they're in the Super Bowl. That's just how it ended up working out. It wasn't more fun. Yep. That said, this feels like it could be fun, and I feel like it will be a fun game to watch, and it will be a good way to cap off a season where I think both teams have really good storylines behind them. I'm glad that we went almost the entire podcast without bringing up that you have two brothers facing each other, or that Andy Reid's the former coach of the Eagles. I probably would have done that if I do my usual Super Bowl storyline segment. I just decided to scratch that because I have other things I'm thinking about. But yeah, I'm
also one notable thing though that we should mention: first year of two black quarterbacks.
Oh yes, that's
facing each other.
Fuck yeah, dude, man. I'm stunned that that's the first time. That is such a indictment.
I know. So I am not. I'm not surprised, only because like black quarterbacks didn't start becoming popular until like maybe 20-ish years ago.
Sure. No, I know. It's
super popular at least. And then in those 20 years, it's been Brady or Manning or Roethlisberger, like for most of the time on the AFC side.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is a wild thing that it took this long, but it's exciting that we're at this point here. That we're gonna see history be made on the field on Sunday. Well, folks, that is that. That is our Super Bowl preview. I hope you guys are excited. We're excited. We will be back. We probably could record earlier next week, just because we have nothing. We have nothing to prepare for, nothing to have to wait ahead of time for at this point.
Yep.
So we'll see. At some point next week, you'll get our Super Bowl post Super Bowl recap. And all that jazz, and maybe we'll go over some of our preseason predictions as well. and close things out, and then most likely after that episode we might go on a little bit of a hiatus as we prepare for VVBFL stuff, and also things are getting a little busy and chaotic in both of our lives, so we might take a breather from things a bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We'll be around, and we'll at least be around every once in a while to talk about the off-season news, and we will be starting the VVBFL season at some point as well. But anyways, there's that. Matt, any last words? Any closing words before we end this podcast? Anything that we haven't done a recommendation in a while, I feel.
No, we haven't. Let's see. What can I recommend? I got nothing.
Play Cosmic Shake.
Play Cosmic Shake. It was pretty alright.
It was pretty alright, yeah.
If you are a fan of BFBB or SpongeBob in general, you will enjoy it. Cannot guarantee otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think even if you're a platforming fan, I don't know if it's like a must buy.
No.
But like, yeah, if you vibe with SpongeBob, yeah, try it. It's a good time. All right. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.